So I opened the letter. Sorry.
You're good, bro.
Man, I seen the worst of the worst. Like, honest to God. Like, I seen my mom and her boyfriends doing drugs, fighting, sleeping around, not coming home, everything. And then he starts going into this prayer, man, and he's like, it's like he's talking to me. That's what everybody, when you get to God, it's like God's talking straight to you. Yeah. And he starts saying, like, hey, listen, if there's someone out there you need to forgive, I want you to forgive them now before you give yourself to God, blah, blah, blah. So then I literally go into this forgiveness mode at that point. And so I forgive both my parents. My older sister comes, she calls me, and she's like, hey, your dad's looking for you. I'm like, is Paul okay? Because Paul raised me. And she goes, no, your real dad. I'm like, what? She goes, he just sent some ladies over here with a letter, and I think you should come get the letter. So I opened the letter.
Triumph from tragedy, the way I overcome the devil mad at me. Farmer like faith, had to plant the seed. Now I work hard, we never take it for granted. We live into a standard, pass it down until it's mastered. I made it from a pallet to a palace and a castle. You can do it too, it's not too much for you to handle. It's that motivation, it's that fire.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of Mondays with Mike. I'm joined by my new friend here, Chris Estrada. We met through social media. This guy right here is a $12 million producer of a commercial contracting company. I'll let him introduce himself. Let's start off, bro, by telling everybody where you're originally from. Where'd you grow up? How was life upbringing?
Yeah. Hey, it's an honor to be on the show with you, bro. Glad you're in Phoenix. We're doing a special podcast. I love it. But I was born and raised here, right here in Phoenix, man. Born in Maricopa County Hospital, poor hospital. Anytime you say county hospital, like, pray for that kid, then we were in the projects, till about 7, and then we got kicked out, and my mom was battling drugs and stuff at a young age, and she ended up letting me go and basically gave me up to my sister's dad. So right before I turned 8, she basically gave me up, and that's kind of how my life started. It's
she gave you up to who?
To my sister's dad, not my dad. I didn't know my dad at the time. So my sister, so picture this. I'm a little kid, little baby, and I have two older brother, older sister, and another older sister, right? They go with their dads, 2 different dads between 3 of them. And I'm the only one with no dad. So I want to go, I'm like looking for the dad, right? So then my sister that was closest in age to me, she'd go with her dad. I'd try to go with her. She was closest in age. And eventually he took me, and like, he would take me with him on like Saturday, Sunday, you know what I mean? And we started building this bond, a special bond.
So he kind of raised you. He raised you.
Yeah. And so when shit hit the fan, excuse my language, is he literally had to kidnap me from my mom to save my life. And this is a poor, I call him a ghetto hillbilly. He's, Mexican, but poor. He was ghetto. He was like a hillbilly all in one. And one leg, he just got his leg cut off.
8 years old?
Just turning 8. Yeah. Just turning 8. And so that's kind of how the whole thing started. I went from, right before that, we're in a project. So I seen the worst of the worst. Like, honest to God. Like, I seen my mom and her boyfriends doing drugs, fighting, sleeping around, not coming home, everything. And I had to tell the judge that when we were going through this whole thing. I had to show them what lines look like. And they're like, show me what it looks like.
At what age did you go through that battle with the court?
8 and 9. Yeah.
So he ended up gaining custody?
No, he never got custody of me. What happened was he literally had to kidnap me and hide me, and to save me. Like, I wasn't like abused or nothing. He just loved me, and so he would hide me. And then my mom, my uncles, aunts, my grandma, I called her mama. My cousins called her nana. They all knew what was happening. Like, they were all trying to save me, and so I would go to their houses, and my mom would pop up drunk, bro. And like, I loved my mom, and I would be so sad because she'd pop up like, where's Chris at? I know he's here. And they'd be hiding me. I was a little kid, and I'd hide. And because I knew like it wasn't good.
Yeah.
If I went with her, it wasn't good. It was a different guy. It was a different thing. It was,
It was all bad.
It was all bad.
So who ended up raising you from 8 years old to your teenage years?
Yeah. So his name was Paul, the guy who took me in. He ended up taking me in, and he wanted to get my sister, but she was a mess. She was running around. She ran away real early, and you know, he took me in, and it was a struggle, you know, because, you know, I knew he wasn't my dad. He had just married another chick to try to take care of me. Then he had kids, and I knew who my mom was. I loved her. I knew who my family was. Like, I knew everything.
It's just weird. That's a weird
The
situation.
whole thing
dude.
was just crazy, you know, because I see it all. I know it all. I'm part of it, but none of it's meshing. You know what I mean? And but you know, Paul took care of me, and you know, but part of that was that these issues that I had, you know. So we bounced around, and then, you know, I ended up at right before I turned 11. We moved to an area here called Maryvale. And if anybody's in their 40s and 50s, they know it was gang infested, you know, it was hood. And that's where we ended up moving to. And it was, you know, and I'm still a smart kid, but I like bad things. I'm super smart. And, but then I like the bad things. So then I get jumped in the gang real quick. Start, you know, sniffing paint, sniffing glue, doing drugs, you know.
At 10 years old?
No, probably 11. I started drinking, sniffing. At 13 was the first time I did cocaine, and I liked it. And granted, I already seen my mom, my uncles, all these people do it when I was a kid. You know what I mean? So now it's in front of me. You know, it's like, ooh.
I mean, bro, maybe it was kind of normal.
No, it was normal. It was normal for everybody. You know, when you grow up in that lifestyle, it's like, that's all you know. And so that's why when I talk to people nowadays, it's like, that's all they know. But let's show them something else, right? And there was no one to show me nothing else. Paul took me in, but there was nothing to show me. He was trying, but he was that ghetto hillbilly guy. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, hey, go start a business.
He didn't know any better.
Nah, he just was trying to. He was just like, I gotta take care of this little boy, you know. But yeah, that's what I knew. So
what happened from 13 years old onto your early 20s or your late teens?
So, you know, basically, you know, I'm starting to get in trouble now. You know, I'm getting kicked out of school. I'm getting arrested. You know, I'm dabbling with more and more drugs. You know, shrooms, crack, coke, crystal, all of them. As a teenager growing up, you know, I still had a heart. I always tell people, like, I was a good kid that liked to do bad things. You know, I didn't want to viciously hurt someone, or, you know, I had a heart, but I just liked bad things. I like writing on walls or stealing something or going with this girl. I just like bad, you know, at that time, because I didn't know any better, you know. And so I went through a whole series of getting in trouble, getting arrested. And, you know, when it was time to go to high school, my first month in high school, I got in a scuffle with the teacher, and I was already had a rap by then. I wasn't known for this badass, like, kid that was, like, dangerous, but I was known for, like, I got into some shit, you know. It was stupid. And boom, we get in a scuffle with the teacher, get arrested, get charged, get expelled from all high schools in the state.
At what age?
I don't know, it was freshman, whatever, 14, 15.
Yeah, 14, 15. So that was it? You were done with school?
I was done with school. But then, so what happens is, so I'm going through that whole thing, and another school tries to accept me, an alternative school. There was 2 alternative schools before all these charters for bad kids only.
Yeah.
I'm the youngest kid. I wasn't 16 yet, because you had to be 16, but they're like, I'm going to let you in. I get kicked out of that school really quick, right? And I'm still going through this court case for the teacher. The teacher happened to be a cop. So I get in a scuffle with a cop, basically, on school grounds, going through this thing, get arrested a couple more times. And so now I'm about 16 and a half, and I'm looking at juvenile prison, you know. And then Paul, you know, he always had my back. Like, he'd go pick me up from jail every time. Like, we were like, geez.
After all these years, he was still watching. Yeah,
he was watching me. And so, you know, I'm going to court and stuff, and, you know, they're like, okay, we're going to sentence you to a year, basically from 16 and a half to 17 and a half, somewhere in that range. And he's like, hey, Your Honor, what if we put him in Phoenix Job Corps? I don't know if you know what Job Corps is.
Yeah.
Federal Trade School.
Yeah,
you know,
Job Corps.
And so I basically got sentenced to do 1 year at Job Corps to go to school.
To
get my GED, to learn my trade. And so that's what I did. You know, I went to Job Corps, still partied, still stupid stuff, find everything.
What did you learn at Job Corps?
Carpentry. And so the reason why I took carpentry, because at that time I was confused. Like, who am I? What am I? I'm a young kid. I'm getting in trouble. What's all this? You know, I'm you know, dead end. And but the whole time, Paul taught me how to build. And so from when I was younger, this is how we developed our relationship. No, he was a hillbilly, bro. He's duct tape.
He's duct tape.
So, but we had a lot of birds and stuff. And so he would build these bird cages and all these different things, and I learned how to build them all. So I started getting really good with my hands as a kid. Like I was really good. Then we built an addition on the room. I basically built the whole addition at like 13. Even though I was a knucklehead, I was like really good. So when I got the job, I was like, ooh, carpentry.
You liked it. It got your attention.
Yeah, it got my attention. And I went in there. I was still partying and everything, but I was dusting everybody because I was already good with my hands. Partying, going on, I take the bus, drunk, high, everything. You know, but I graduated from the Job Corps program.
At what age?
17 and a half. So 1 year. I did the 1 year, did the program, got my GED, and graduated from the trade. And then I went into the workforce, you know.
So we talked a little about this offline, and kind of brings me into my next segue is how did you get into your industry?
Yeah.
Right. So I mentioned that you're basically a commercial contractor where you do all the sub work, right? You want to talk a little bit about that and how you got into it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, coming up and learning, I learned how to build with wood. And then, so I was 17 and a half on probation, high, all this crazy stuff, right? Messing around. And so I go and start building houses, and I'm like, I don't like that, you know. We're driving far. It's not no money. None of it was no money back then. I was making $7. I was making $7 an hour, driving an hour away. And then I checked out an ad for metal stud framing, commercial drywall, you know. And so I went there, you know. I wasn't 18 yet. That company, the same thing. The company only hired 18 or over, and they're like, we're gonna hire you. Don't be late. Don't do this. Don't do that. And so I got a job, you know, on commercial drywall, and that's how I got into it. I learned how to do wood framing construction, but then I tried it and I fell in love with it really quick, you know. And so, you know, I always tell people like my trade saved my life, you know, and
I say that about Debt Collections.
Do you?
That's our saying in our office. Debt Collection saved my life. Yeah,
it saved my life because I went through a lot of trials and tribulations early. You know, even as I started working, I started getting good. I was still a knucklehead. At 18, I was with a girl and got in a fight with the guy. Almost went to prison. Went to jail for 6 months. You know, and just knucklehead. You know, but when I say the trade saved my life is, you know, as I got into it more and more, each time, even if I got in trouble, I went back to the trade. You know, it kind of like took care of me, like nurtured me and stuff. And, you know, because, you know, it was like trading in one addiction for another.
For work.
Yeah. And so I like off topic, but like I believe like we all have addictive behaviors. It's what we put our actions, you know, where we put that action at. And I started putting it into work.
Yep. And,
you know, I was still doing dope, still messing around. I got, you know, and I ended up getting really bad on.
At what age were you at this time?
So say like 20. So at the age of 20, I had still partying, just become a foreman, and then my mom dies. Right? She already had given me up, but I had a relationship. I go see her every 3 weeks or something. At this point, she's
still your mom.
She's still my mom. She's still my mom. I'd visit her at a different guy's house and give her some cash, and I was selling dope or I had a job, whatever it was, you know. And but at 20, she died, and it hit me hard. It messed me up. And so I just want to I literally like, I was already doing some stupid stuff, but
you were already unstable, but that buried you.
That was bad. Like I could keep a job, I could mess around, you know, some good clothes and stuff, but like that was like the, you know, now I'm taking beer and dope to the job site, and it just buried me, man. And next thing you know, I'm hooked, you know, hooked on meth, like for about a year and a half. So I went from doing it 2 or 3 days a week, 4 days a week, to like every hour. Yeah.
Shit.
Just a hot mess.
I know the feeling, bro. I've been stuck on meth myself for several years since I started sniffing it when I was 15, and I started smoking it right around 17, 18.
Mm-hmm.
And when you smoke meth, bro, that your life's over.
Yeah,
your life's
bad.
over. It's so addictive.
It's addictive. Yeah. All the drugs are terrible, man. I hate drugs. Yeah. But you know, at the time, it's like you don't know you're trying it. It's sexy because everyone's doing it. You want to be like, I used to like the girls, so I partied. I sold it. You know,
you don't know you're killing yourself.
And everybody else around you. Shoot, are you kidding?
Yep.
You know.
So you're 20, around 20, 21, and you're rock bottom.
Yeah.
How'd you pull yourself out?
It was hard. It was hard, man. It was like, this is what separates people. You know, first my son was born, Christopher. You know, you kind of met him briefly downstairs, and I'm like, one of a friend, a homie, you know, we're a mess. I'm a mess. I'm kind of really like bad. And he's like, Chris, you got to get out of here. You know, and we're within the state. And he's like, hey, just move, bounce around, move around, move around. Don't answer your phone for nobody. Don't answer your phone for none of us. And go change your life, bro. And so I tried it. I was doing it, but I was still dabbling with dope, still messing around, had another kid. And then finally I'm like, I'm done. You know, I was in a bad marriage, real bad marriage. She was a drug addict as well.
You had enough.
Yeah, I was done. And I was like, you know, I was just looking at things and, you know, life sucked. I tell people all the time, like, you have a choice to live a good life or a bad life. You know, you have that choice. We know what comes with those.
With those choices.
Yeah. The good life, you get to keep your stuff.
Yeah, bro. I mean, you could either live in paradise, right? This is not me. Personally, I don't think we're in heaven.
Yeah.
But I do believe that we're in paradise.
Yeah. Well, it's heaven on earth.
It's heaven on earth. That's paradise.
Yeah.
Heaven on earth is paradise.
Yeah.
So I think we're in paradise. But I think that you have to choose paradise.
That's exactly
or
right.
you could choose hell. You could go mess around with drugs.
Yeah.
You could abuse alcohol. You could abuse drugs. You could, you know, decide to live evil, and you're gonna live a terrible life.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's my opinion, my humble opinion. So, at what age are you when you pulled yourself out? I mean, congratulations, bro, because not a lot of people could do that. A lot of people can't just say I'm done, and then just change their life.
Yeah.
Nobody. It's freaking hard.
It's
bro.
hard, bro.
So, how old were you?
So at 23, I was done, and you know, I always tell people I did heavy drugs from 13 to 23. And, you know, my third daughter was about to be born, my third kid. And I'm like, I'm done with drugs. I'm done with this woman, you know, like that. And then I started, like, my old boss, the last company I worked for, you know, he'd be like, come to church. And I tried to go to church, and my ex wouldn't want to go. So I'm just like, I'm done with her. I'm done, you know. And right about 25. So, like, I'm trying to figure this whole thing out, right? And so 23, I quit. Takes me about 2 more years to get rid of her. But right before that happened is, you know, my boss kept bringing up God and God and God. And I hope you don't mind if I talk about God.
Nah, bro. I'm people don't know, but I'm pretty hardcore Christian, bro.
Yeah.
I just don't show it.
Yeah.
You know.
I married I'll tell you who I married. But so, like, one day everybody's gone, right? The crackhead wife's gone. And I'm watching TV and I'm flickering through the channels, bro. And I'm like looking for church channels. I never did this before. And I see these old white dudes.
But are you sober?
I'm sober.
When you were doing that?
Yep, I'm sober. I quit. I was probably clean about a year. And I'm looking through church channels.
Because there's two different things, bro. When you're looking through for a church channel and you're sober or you're high, those are two different things.
Yeah. I think in my life I did it the right way. I got clean first, then went to God. Some people go to God because they want to be clean, and then they go back. I try to make this transition of like, okay, God, I'm ready for this.
You know, something that I've never really shared with too many people is that I didn't believe in God when I was like a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from a Catholic family. They forced me to go to church once in a while, like Mexicans once in a while.
Yeah.
For
Easter,
freaking
Christmas,
whatever,
the holidays,
bro. Yeah. There's there's a quinceañera. You're going to church.
Yeah.
So I don't know why, but when I was a teenager, I really didn't believe in God. I'm like, it's not even real. God's not even real.
Yeah.
You know. And then I had a buddy pass away. I had a buddy that passed away. He was killed.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought about him a lot when I was, 16, 17 years old. And I was high as a kite on meth. And one of my neighbors would talk about God, and we'd get high together. We smoke meth together.
Yeah.
Like a lot of meth, bro. I'd be high as a kite, and then I'd start thinking like, I think God might be real. And I found God through drugs, bro.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And when I got cleaned up, my brother, he took time off of work. He basically freaking trapped me in his house. I was his prisoner for 2 weeks while he cleaned me up.
Oh, that's good.
It was good. He saved my life.
Yeah.
And then my older brother, hardcore Marine, retired gunnery sergeant. He was like my dad. He pretty much raised me. And then I went to a rehab. He checked me into a rehab. My mom checked me into a rehab. And I was in the rehab for like 2 weeks. I checked myself out because now I'm a month sober. I'm like, I'm wasting time. I need to go make money and support my family.
Yeah.
You know, I had a family. So when I went to rehab, I really found Jesus. And I'm like, God is absolutely real. Because he sent my brother to pull me out of this. And like, so everybody has a different experience.
Yeah.
You pulled yourself out. You started searching for God because you were influenced by your boss. You know, you're looking through channels. I found God just because I didn't believe. I really didn't
stumbled
believe.
upon God. Yeah.
And he just smacked me
He said,
in the
I'm
face.
real.
God's like, you're going to get out of this addiction and I'm going to pull you out.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use your family, people around you to do it.
I say all the time, like, our testimony needs to be someone else's victory. Like, we have to have God as our foundation. Like, there's too many stories of a lot of people that God can't be real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So imagine, so I'm watching TV. I'm trying to look for these pastors. I'm like, oh, church. Right. Then I stumble upon this guy, Joel Osteen.
I know who he is.
And so I'm like, well, he's younger than these older dudes I'm seeing. You know, all the old pastors had white hair. And so, you know, back in the day. Like,
I've read a lot of Joel Osteen books.
So this is like 2004, 2005. And so Joel Osteen pops up. I'm like, man, I like this dude. Like,
yeah, he's a very attractive dude.
He's younger. He's positive. He's
polished.
All this stuff. Like, I'm like, man, this is like, I like this. And then he starts going into this prayer, man. And he's like, it was like he's talking to me. That's what everybody, when you get to God, it's like God's talking straight to you. Yeah. And he starts saying like, hey, listen, if there's someone out there you need to forgive, I want you to forgive them now before you give yourself to God, blah, blah, blah. So then I literally go into this forgiveness mode at that point over the TV. And I'm like, okay, Mom, I forgive you for not forgiving me up, for dying too young, for just not taking care of us. I forgive you. I love you. You know, I'll see you one day. And then I said, my biological father, I'm like, I forgive you, you know, for not taking care of me. You know, Paul was still around, you know, but I was in my own home. And so I forgive both my parents, right? I give myself to God. Okay, God, I do that prayer, his prayer. And then it wasn't Mike, it wasn't a matter of months, bro. My older sister comes, she calls me. And she's like, hey, your dad's looking for you. I'm like, is Paul okay? Because Paul raised me. What do you mean? Is he all right? What's going on? And so I'm clear-headed. I'm still the crackhead at the last 6 months. And she goes, no, your real dad. I'm like, what? She goes, he just sent some ladies over here with a letter. And I think you should come get the letter. So I open a letter and, So I open the letter and hold on. Sorry.
You're good, bro.
You're going to show this?
We're going to show this.
Well, he's been dead 5 years. So the letter goes like, you don't know me. Hold on. Shit. I always get choked up.
You're good, bro.
It's like, you don't know me, and but I've been looking for you. I'm like, what?
For 5 years?
No, he's been looking at me for years. Yeah, I don't even know how long. He's like, you don't know me, but I've been looking for you. So I'm around 25 this time. And he goes, I want to meet you in the letter. If you see me, you want to hit me, that's fine. I'll take it. And I knew who he was. I knew he was a white dude. I knew his first name, but I didn't know what he looked like. I didn't know what his last name was. I didn't know where he lived. You know, I didn't know anything. And because my nickname was Casper. And everybody be like, you're white, you have a white dad. You know, you got a white dad. You know, my uncles and aunts and stuff. And so I'm like, man. So I'm thinking like, okay, Paul, like I'm gonna hurt his feelings. But I'm like, this is God. You know, and so it was from the time I said the prayer, gave the forgiveness, he's at my doorstep on Christmas Eve. That's within months, you know. And I meet him. I'm like, man, you know, thank you for coming. I'm about to divorce this chick. I tell him, the first thing I tell him is like, I'm gonna divorce this chick. You know, I want to let you know who I am right now. I was a drug addict. I was this, that. And he's like, I don't care. And so then we built a relationship, bro. And you know, it was like he happened to be like kind of wealthy.
He was well off.
Yeah, he had multiple furniture stores. You know, like 20 something houses, apartments. And I'm over here, this poor kid.
You don't even know how long he was looking for you?
And so he goes like, Chris, how's your mom? And I'm like, she's dead. He said, what? And he looks at me, he goes, I'm not lying. He goes, I was driving down the freeway, and he goes, a silhouette, like it was like your mom sitting right there in the chair, and the passenger side said, go find your son. He goes, that's why I started looking for you. And I'm like, holy jeez. You know what I mean? But it was amazing, you know, because like it opened, like my life went from, and this is how anybody's life can happen when you give yourself to God, is like, it went from like so minute, like I wanted more. I was good. Like I was good in my industry. I was killing it. Now I'm clean. I'm a badass. I was always a badass. Even when I wasn't a badass, I thought I was. But like when you give yourself to God and you start adding that other element in, it's that secret sauce, you know, it's like, it's no secret.
Your life changes, yeah.
Like my life went from like normal, and the trajectory was so fast. It was like, you know what I mean? And that's what happens when you build out your foundation, your life on God.
Yeah.
You know, so I meet him, I go through divorce, get custody of my 3 kids or babies at the time, like 1.5, 3.5, 4.5.
Yeah, you're probably focused at the same time on mastering your craft.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I would take them to the job sites with me. If I didn't have a babysitter, Paul would help me too. Like different people tried to help me. It was hard. And then at the same time, so I'm a foreman, kind of superintendent, running multiple projects, big projects, all this stuff. They're driving around me. I'm leaving them in the truck sometimes on Saturdays and stuff like that. And then at the same time, my father, my biological father, his name was Sheldon, and you know, he was like, when I met him that first day, he's like, well, what do you want to do? I'm like, well, I want to open up a drywall construction company and sell real estate. And so I showed him blueprints of what I'm doing. It was a badass job at church, and we were able to like get in a magazine. It was cool. And he's like, well, let's do it. You know, and so he didn't help me start the drywall company, but we instantly started doing real estate. Like we instantly started doing it. And he was in Huntington Beach. He lived in Huntington Beach. So we started doing it, you know, and I started learning real fast. So now I'm managing.
Did he show you business?
Yeah. So I'm managing projects for a construction company. I'm single dad and flipping houses. So I have like stacks of toilets along the walls and these 3 little baby kids and, you know, like sinks everywhere. And I'm running, dude, at that time, like I would work, there's no lie, because you could ask my wife. I would work I would sleep from 12 to 4. And then I would get up, take the kids to Paul's, go to work, go check in the houses, my projects, go back and pick up the kids around 10:30, 11, go home. They were already asleep.
But you were managing for a company at this time too, though.
Yep.
Projects.
Yep. So I was working like 20 hours a day, bro. 20 hours a day. You know,
when did you start your business? Like after how many years of doing this? Did you
start I was about 10 and a half years of experience. Now there was a year where I didn't actually work because I was full blown crackhead, meth head, full blown, you know, like homeless, all that stuff. But you know, as I had the kids, man, there was another prayer I prayed into it. And this is how God works too, is, so when I was in jail for the 6 months, I had wrote this letter, and the letter said, so I'm 18, 19, whatever it was. The letter said something like, and I have the letter. I wrote it. It was like a poem type thing. And I sent it to my sister that was closest to me at the time. And it was like something like, evil one, get out of my chest, blah, 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 all this stuff. But it says, God, give me a mother for my children. Like literally how it's written, a mother for my children. And my sister later on, a few years later, she gives me the letter back. And next thing you know, I'm a single dad. And then I see the letter, and I'm like, I start praying like, God, I need help. Like, yeah, I can work hard, but like these kids need a mom. I need a wife. You know, I'm ready, you know. And so then I meet my wife, you know. And we hit it off, and it took, you know, we were talking for like 8, 9, 10 months, a year before we started dating and stuff like that. And she's a pastor's daughter, never did drugs, no kids. No bad life, you know. She wasn't rich, but she was not like complete opposite from me. She liked finer things. I was ghetto.
Different, yeah, way different upbringing.
Yeah, way different upbringing. You know, she was like, for me, Mike, like she makes fun of me as like, I'll be like, Cheesecake Factory's too fancy. I wouldn't go in it. It's like $20 a plate or whatever. And now it's, you know, different world. But when I met her and hooked up with her, she exposed me to like a better life. You know, I was a hard worker already, and I knew what I was going to do. I just didn't know how it looked. Now, when I met her, Felicity, it was like, she was showing me these glimpses. Like, she's like, here's some sushi. Remember we were messing about this. Here's this. Let's go on Cheesecake Factory since you're so damn afraid of it, you know? And then now it's like, I'm a food snob, you know?
I don't know what you're talking about, bro. I'm not like that.
Yeah, right. Shit.
So what do you think? Well, when did you start your business, bro? Because I want the audience to see, you know, where you came from.
Yeah.
And I don't think I had it as bad as you. I probably had, you know, a lot of.
We all have our own struggles.
Yeah,
it just looks different.
It's similar, but it's similar. I had a similar upbringing.
Yeah.
Not with I had good parents, you know. My biological dad, he had his flaws. I loved him. He passed when he was 31 years old.
Yeah.
I was 7. But I had my challenges as a kid. But I want people to understand how hard it is when you grow up like that to change your life and then to become an entrepreneur. But at the same time, I think when you face challenges that are so freaking bad like that, being an entrepreneur is not as scary, right? It was still one of the scariest things I had to do because I already had a family.
Yeah.
But what was your experience? Like, how did you start your company? Was it challenging? What challenges did you face? After going through all that, how challenging was it for you to become an entrepreneur? Yeah.
So you figure, so now I get into this new marriage, you know, I have the 3 kids, and they, you know, in 2008, the economy starts to tank. Remember the real estate boom? Yeah. And so 2009, so, you know, I'm crushing it, and there's like no work. And at this time, I already had, right before I met her, I took my licensing to get my testing to get my license, my contract license, all that. And so I had this itch to start my own thing. I met my dad, already doing some flips, and but I meet her, and so I kind of slow it down a little bit to work on this little relationship we're about to build. And then we get married, and we start the business in 2009, beginning of 2009, and we're broke, bro. Like broke. Like that's another thing that sets people apart. Like we had like $2 or something. She knows the exact amount. We were broke as shit. No money. There was no work because the industry, like you remember those times. There's like nothing was happening.
Yeah, I know. Everyone
I knew, I would talk about starting a business for about 2 years, and they're like, "Yeah, start your business. We'll hire you." So then I start the business finally, and they're like, "Oh, we don't even have a job," you know. And then I had to fight. So I have a felony, right? I had to fight with the contractors, register of contractors here to actually get my license. They wouldn't even give me my license, so I had to fight with them. And then we started broke, and it's just that grind, man. It was like, you know, I have a family. She just got pregnant at that time too. So now we're into our 4th kid. You know, she had experience being like admin for the church for her dad. You know, I was just this construction guy, you know, throw my boots on, go work for 16 hours like nothing.
So you didn't know business?
No business. My dad was giving me pointers now. You know, he didn't want to give me $1. We were doing real estate, but for the
he wanted you to work for it.
Yeah. And so we just started grinding. And at the same time, I didn't know how to use a computer. I didn't go to school. So at night, Felicity would teach me how to do the basic things with the computer. And then at night, every night, I would just practice, learn how to navigate. What's this? What's that button? Where does this go? Where does that go? How do you type? How do you, you know?
And now, bro, you're over here teaching my videographer about cameras.
Yeah. Well, I run our AV too. I learn a lot. It's gone long ways. But so I had to get the fear out of me. You know, the fear. Okay, I don't know how to use a computer. Okay, well, I'll learn it. You know, I don't know how to run a business. Well, let's learn it. It hurts. Yes, it hurts. Shit, it hurts. Of course, it hurts. You're gonna lose money. I remember we would pay the guys checks, and then we'd be broke eating noodles, and you know, and these guys are, you know, taking home checks and stuff.
Man, I just gotta say, this is some great content. I hope the audience, if you guys have made it this far, I hope you guys are enjoying this, because this guy's basically, Chris, you're just speaking for me right now, because this is exactly a lot of the stuff that I went through as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Like broke, scared, I borrowed money, Like I got a business partner to borrow money from his dad to launch the company. Like scared, bro. Making 10 grand a month to go start my own company. It's like,
it's scary.
it's scary.
Yeah,
because you were making money at your job.
Yeah.
You had to make a decision.
Yeah,
and you did.
Yeah, and then you can go work for other companies, make more money. But I'm like, I want to do this. Now's the time. She's got my back. She decided to marry this crazy kid, with kids. So I'm like, I think I'm good right here. And then she's like, well, let's do it. And we're doing it, and it's hard. Like we're learning. We weren't taught anything. I didn't work in an office environment. I didn't know how to estimate.
Dude, like look at all your handicaps when you started your business. You had no money, you had no computer skills, you had no business skills, you had no clients. How did you survive, bro? How did you do it?
Yeah, grinding by the grace of God. It's like God first again, and the willingness to overcome any obstacle.
That's right.
So I knew like, okay, what is it we have to do? Okay, we got to learn it. We made a mistake. Who knows it? Can someone teach us? No. Okay, because in the industry, no, people don't want to teach their peers.
Of course.
It's too much competition.
Yep.
Right? And but putting God first, I think God will open the doors where they need to be open because God will give us what we can handle. I'm a firm believer. Yeah. And so we were able to hook up with like the right strategic partnerships, general contractors that really helped us through some of these hard times. Like it just happened that way, right? And we were talking about earlier, well, how do you get your jobs and how do you get your, how'd you grow and
marketing,
all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so one of the things we did was, and you can't be afraid to let people know what your abilities are, and whether it's working for yourself or someone else, because they're still your abilities, right? And so what I did was back then in 09, 010, this is 010 now, is I created this little CD and it had all these pictures of jobs. Like it was like a little collage or something.
Like a freaking resume.
Yeah. But it was a CD. And so I'm trying to figure out how to get, partnerships. And we ended up at this Black Chambers of Commerce event, all black. And we didn't belong there. But then on the very far end, the very far end was like another Mexican dude, right? And he's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Well, what are you doing here?" I'm like, "We're trying to meet people." And so he's like, "Hey, come to this minority thing." And so I go, and the minority thing is like Asian, blacks, Mexicans, minorities, right? And I take my CD, and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna introduce you to this guy. He's like the Godfather of construction in Arizona, the old school guy." And so I go and meet him. I'm like, "Hey, man, my name's Chris Estrada. I'm the best drywaller in town." Whether I was or wasn't, I believed it.
Yeah, I'm the best collection agency.
Yeah.
Hands down in the country.
Yeah. And we're going to move in that direction. Whether we are, we aren't, right? And then so I give them the CD. I'm like, check out my jobs. They weren't even mine. I did them, but they were for a company.
Yeah, of course.
They weren't for me.
Of course.
But I took ownership of those. And a lot of people, noticed a lot of people like, well, I didn't do this. I'm like, did you do it? Who cares who you did it for? You did it. You know what I mean? I still built the projects, So I took pictures all the time. And I was like, I did all these projects. Just give me one shot. And so he calls me back a few weeks later, this dude, older Mexican guy. He's like, all right, meet him and all this. So then I start doing a lot of work with him. And then he has this big team. And what happens, God will put you in the right place at the right time. That team started breaking up. And so he had about 5 project managers. And I started working with each one eventually.
Different companies.
Well, so what happened? They left.
Off. Yeah, they branched off.
Yeah, they all left. So then I went to those companies. And then those guys left those, and I was at that company, this company, and then the next company.
Freaking octopus effect.
Yeah, it went from 5 to like 30 in a few years. Next, I'm at the airport. I was at the airport for 6 years straight. Now I'm working for 5 GCs at the airport. Then I get into hospitals. I'm working for 5 GCs in the same hospital.
So I think there's a little lesson here too, is produce good work.
Yeah.
Be confident in the quality and the work that you're doing, and be patient. Be patient, and things will work out.
Yeah.
Right. As a 10X coach, I always teach people to be aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Be aggressive with marketing. But one thing that I never really emphasize on is do quality. Like always deliver.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking about Grant Cardone a couple of days ago. Where, the expression, have you heard the expression, under promise, over deliver?
Totally.
Right? Well, Grant says, over promise and over deliver.
Yeah, get it done.
Grant says that all the time. So this is kind of what it reminds me of, but there's other pieces that also go into that is be patient and trust what you're doing.
Yeah.
Trust your client.
Yeah.
Trust the referrals. I don't like to rely on referrals. I feel like it just moves business. The scaling is just too slow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But look at this example that you gave me right now.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. This is God, right? And depending on your industry too, if you're a service industry, referral, you need to just market the shit out of everything, yourself, your business, everything, right?
But ask for referrals.
Yeah.
Ask for referrals. Hey, bro, you know anybody else that needs my services?
Yeah.
So,
don't
no,
be
dude,
afraid.
I freaking.
I'll add something to that though. When you were saying those things, is don't also take criticism well. So that was a challenge I had early on. Was I didn't like to be. I'm still kind of like that. I didn't like to be critiqued, and so I would do stupid stuff. Like I was really good. I always went for quality and stuff like that. I wasn't lazy. I'm still the same person. I'm better, but I would have a hard time taking criticism. And these people are helping me. So your customers are going to help you. So when they tell you something, you're doing something wrong, they're telling you because they love you.
Listen.
They listen. Listen to what they're telling you, right? You don't have to agree with the hell they're saying, but listen to them because it's probably the right thing at the right time.
Yeah, it happens a lot with me too in our debt collection agencies. The clients give me their input. They're like, look, dude, this portfolio got past you, or you should fix your reporting on your software because this is too complicated, or you're missing this report.
Yeah.
I don't get upset anymore.
Yeah.
I used to be like that many years ago too. Mm-hmm. It's your ego. You think you know everything.
Yeah.
Now it's like your customers crying out to you how you can service them better. Mm-hmm. And you're supposed to be providing the best service because you're the best.
Yeah.
So just make those adjustments for them.
Yeah. And not all adjustments will work, but take it for a grain of salt.
Take it into consideration.
Yeah, exactly. But that's kind of, like we so my dad used to always say, like, don't leave no stone unturned. So, and in your word, that's everything, right? And so when I told someone I'm doing the job, and I've done a lot of jobs where I've lost a lot of money, bro. Like I didn't walk away from anything because my name was more important than anything else because this is the long game. I'm playing the long game.
Yep. Yeah, same here. So let me ask you, last year you did 12 million in revenue.
Okay.
We know that you're not 100%, like really dialed in with your net. Your net is higher than what your profit and loss shows, right? We know that. So a healthy business should always be at least at 20 to 30% net. Mm-hmm. So, congratulations on your success. You've been in business how many years?
Yeah, so 2009, so 16, 17 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So last year, 12 million.
Yeah.
150 employees. I gotta say right now, I walked your operation. We're on the second floor right now of a huge warehouse. He has a huge office, beautiful office, bunch of employees, 150 employees. I was very impressed when I walked in here. I did not expect this. So what are your targets this year and how do you plan to accomplish them?
Yeah. So, we want to get, about a 25% growth this year, which takes us about 15 million. And what's worked for us in the past with growth and stuff like that is the strategy is how do we scale up versus when we first started, we would do more projects, but now I want to scale down the amount of projects, but scale up the overall revenue of the project. So rather than going after 50,000, 100,000, now it's like 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million. That's how we're going to be able to scale up. So to get 3 more million, all I got to do is add one more job
to the same client.
Exactly.
So that's great. I love that. So your target is 15 million this year.
Yeah.
Right. And you're planning on doing that by adding services to every single client. Mm-hmm. And hiring the ticket.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. We've expanded what we talked about. We expanded from framing, drywall, painting, insulation, ceiling grid, wall protection, wallpaper. So the more services we can add, the more valuable we are to that customer, because if you can bring value to something or someone, like that's indispensable. If you're not bringing value, that's why you get fired or you don't get hired, or you have to bring value.
Dude, I love that you just brought that up because that was going to be my next point. So I learned this from Brandon Dawson and Cardone Ventures.
He's a killer, bro.
Dude, I'm getting ready to partner up with my CFO next week. I'm going to be offering accounting services to all my clients and to all my communities because People need bookkeepers. People need accountants.
Yeah.
People need
And they don't even, hey, they don't
CFOs.
even know they need it. They think they're good. Like, we're good. Like, you do your accounting once a year, bro. No one's, you're not entering daily, weekly, monthly. Like, are you serious?
And then they wonder why they're in the hole and they owe the IRS.
They don't know to the end of the year.
Yeah.
Actually, not even to the end of the year. They don't know till like June of the following year what's actually happening.
Dude, when I coach somebody in business, I ask them, what was your revenue last year? And I get one of 3 responses. They're either going to say, I don't know, I'm not sure. They're going to say it was about 1.2, or they're going to say it was 1.236753 with 22 cents. What's the best answer?
Yeah.
The third one.
Exactly.
That's why I decided, because I was on that boat myself a few years ago.
Yeah,
I'll be like,
yeah.
I think we did like 11 million. What was your net? I'm not sure. Like, how are you not sure? What kind of businessman are you?
Yeah.
How are you not sure? You should know your net is 27.3% of 11 million 2 cents. Like, you should be sharp with your numbers, you know? And that's why I did that. So the whole point that I'm making is Brandon Dawson taught me this. Add more services to your current client base.
Love it.
And that's exactly what your strategy is.
Yeah.
So I love that you gave that answer, because if you were just doing drywall, how many projects would you need to get to 20 million?
It's crazy. Dude, I got up to like 140 projects a year, small projects. And you gotta have more leaders, more foremen, more everything, you know, so scaling down the amount of projects, scaling up the revenue per project, right? And adding more services. It's like a funnel system.
Yeah.
If you're in sales, it's a click funnel system. We're just creating more things for them, more offers.
Yep. Yeah, and it's the same thing with us. It's like everything's aligned, right? I do debt collections. I'm gonna get back into coaching as a business advisor.
Yeah.
And then what we're doing now is offering accounting services. So now I give them everything. It's like, what do you need? Do you need an accountant? Do you need a bookkeeper? Do you need a CFO? Do you need collections because your AR is broken? Do you need somebody to coach you to learn how to scale your business? So now everything is integrated, and I can offer all those services, and that's how you get a higher ticket. Kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
So I love your plan, bro. Where can people follow you? We know that you're one of the main guys in the Phoenix area where you do commercial drywall, paint. What other services do you offer?
Yeah, so we offer, commercial drywall, painting, ceiling grid systems, insulation, wall protection. Basically, what I tell clients is walls and ceilings in a commercial space.
Yeah,
we're good at it.
And your best partnerships are GCs, commercial GCs in Arizona,
and big ones, because we're doing big jobs. We're doing big jobs. We're not doing it. I don't really want it. Like, don't call me with some little. Like, it's got to be a big job, man, like a year-long project or something.
So something that's even more interesting than that is you mentioned that you want to start coaching contractors that are in the commercial space to show them and teach them and guide them on, you know, how you were able to create $12 million in mass success, right? So how can people find you?
Yeah, so on Instagram, it's official Chris Estrada. LinkedIn, it's Chris Estrada. I couldn't get the official on. We're also on X, YouTube, official Chris Estrada. So if you look up Chris Estrada, official Chris Estrada, you're gonna find me. We're right here in Phoenix, Arizona. And
I see you're pumping a lot of content. Where do you pump most of that content? What's your focus on?
Now it's Instagram.
Good.
So I have Extreme Drywall Concepts on Instagram as well. Besides mine, so Extreme Drywall Concepts on Instagram, on Facebook, and on LinkedIn. For business to business, LinkedIn's crushing it. And I've gotten good at LinkedIn. So like someone's gonna a local company here, GC is actually gonna hire us to help them with their LinkedIn page. So I'm learning the Instagram world.
Damn, bro, you're gonna have to teach me LinkedIn because I'm starting to go hard on it.
No, business to business is cool.
Yeah, that's what I need for my collection agency.
Yeah.
Business to business on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
We've struggled with
Instagram's good for personal, influencer or services.
Yes.
But it ain't business to business. You're not getting nowhere with that.
Yeah. I've realized that the hard way.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are gonna want to reach out to you personally.
Yeah.
When it comes to big GCs in this area that need your services, and more importantly, there's a lot of commercial contractors out there that they need help scaling.
Yeah.
So official Chris Estrada, bro, I want to thank you for inviting me to your studio. We're in his studio right now. I'm out in Phoenix. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks for spending over an hour and getting to know you. And this was great, man. I love what you delivered for us today. Guys, if you enjoyed this show, I need you to comment, Give a shout out to Chris. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. And thanks again for your time, brother.
Absolutely.
We'll see you guys next time on Mondays with Mike.
Be blessed.